Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
And I'm Andy Murray from WhatCulture. And coming up today, I'm going to tell you what Vince McMahon really thinks about Roman Reigns at the moment. After that, we're going to talk a little bit about Vince's apparent new favourite wrestler over on SmackDown. Then we're going to take a detour through Ratingsville as we break down the Wednesday Night Wars. And then, there's a lot today, we're going to talk about Karrion Kross and his new entrance theme.
Plus, WWE have banned their wrestlers from saying yet another word, an update on the situation with Riddick Moss, and an update on Kevin Owens' injury status. This is the news.
But we are going to kick things off by talking about Big Bad Vince and Big Bad Roman. So Roman Reigns is in the weirdest spot of all time right now. The guy was seemingly edited out of history, deleted from that WrestleMania 31 footage on Raw. WWE have banned people from mentioning his name on air. And yet, one night later on FS1 after Raw, they're airing 1 hour specials on the guy. So there's something weird happening. So led to a lot of conspiracy theories, a lot of people going, well, maybe Vince doesn't like Roman after pulling out of WrestleMania and all this stuff. But, Dave Meltzer has an explanation, a potential explanation on this in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. And, well, it sounds like the most Vince thing in the world. So according to this, Vince doesn't actually have a set mindset or set opinion on Roman at the moment. Basically, according to a source within the company, he reacts to and handles Reigns in ways that change daily based on how the wind is blowing. So basically, by the sounds of things, the ever-erratic WWE chairman wakes up, he's in a different mood to what he is yesterday, and he just rolls with whatever the hell's going on. Some days he doesn't want to mention Roman, some days he doesn't like him, some days he's cutting him out of history, some days he's pouring fawning tributes in these hour-long FS1 specials. So sounds like Vince is just all over the place at the moment when it comes to this, but I guess it's good news in the end because it shows that maybe there's not a deep-rooted conspiracy against a guy who might not be back on TV until a vaccine is developed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it sounded ridiculous when people was not the theory, but the fact that WWE would do it, that WWE would punish him for being immunocompromised and obviously then not showing up to work because, it could kill him. But I suppose Vince is gonna Vince. What must it be like working for that company? I mean, it's bad enough at the best of times, right? But turning up each day and not knowing whether or not Roman Reigns is the face of the company, the big dog, or whether or not the Shield had Seth Rollins in it and that's it. What's going on?
Seth the Shield Rollins. It just sounds like chaos. Like everything you hear about working for WWE sounds insane. I guess it's probably quite a wild ride for part of that, but you've got to wonder what kind of impact that has on the performers themselves. Nonetheless, I guess at the moment things are even more tumultuous because there's so much going on and there's all these things outside of wrestling that are affecting Vince and his mindset, and he's apparently entered screw it, I'll do whatever the hell I want mode, as evidenced by that SmackDown segment the other week, which was kind of troubling, I think. But I'm just kind of glad that, thinking about it, it's just Vince being Vince and not WWE going, screw Roman Reigns, I hate that guy, seemingly.
Yeah, exactly. But I realise that we're sort of, immune to all this now with just, like you said, Vince McMahon being Vince McMahon for the last 20 years or so. But anyone else, any other sort of leader in a sports field would surely have either been not fired, because he can't do that, obviously, but would have, pass the reins onto someone else. Shortly, pun intended, funnily enough, we're big football fans. If a football manager was like, you know what, I love this player, he's my star player, he's captain, he's starting up front every single game, and then the next week when, you know what, we're going to sell him, he's the worst player in the world, and then the next week was, doing interviews all pally-pally with him, and then the week after that was just denying that he ever even existed, someone would say something or do something about it, and yet because this is WWE, we just have to watch this train wreck.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's the wild... I've just watched The Dark Side of the Ring on Herb Abrams' UWF. It's not the wildest promotion of all time. It's not even close, but it sounds insane. I would love to be a fly on the wall, man, in WWE HQ for like a week or something, just to see all the crazy crap that goes down, all the changes in attitudes and mood swings and stuff. It's so weird. But the one thing is for certain here is that we're not going to see Roman for ages because
exactly.
It's very
I really hope on Sunday when they're brawling through WWE HQ, we get to see a whiteboard with all Vince's ideas on it, because that would be a fantastic insight into how his brain works, if it works at all. But I'm glad to say that is the only mad thing going on with WWE right now. Of course it isn't. No, Dave Meltzer, also in the Wrestling on Wrestling Observer Radio, reporting that WWE have banned their performers from saying yet another word. You can't say belt, you can't say strap, and now apparently you can't say non-title. That is why there was all this confusion on Monday Night Raw. I thought I was going insane when we were, discussing Raw and then previewing Raw and then reviewing Raw, that I assumed it was a championship match between the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders. Then suddenly it wasn't, and I thought, oh, well, WWE must have changed their minds. And it turns out that the reason was for all this confusion is the fact they couldn't actually clarify this is a non-title match, because it's yet another word to be added to that ridiculous list of things you're not allowed to say. It's a good job they're not allowed to cut, free-flowing promos, because they'd be terrified to say every other word, wouldn't they?
It's crazy, isn't it, man? This is like the one thing that I have never heard anyone make an argument in WWE's defense of, banning words like non-title and belt. It's just mental. Other things like scripted promos, you occasionally hear people going, well, it helps people who maybe can't riff off the cuff and stuff like that. But with this, nobody has a positive argument to make for this crap. It's just weird. Why WWE are so micromanaged to the point of controlling individual words that people can say. It just makes them sound non-human. Like if you transcribed the average WWE promo and handed it to, I don't know, say anyone who doesn't watch wrestling and just said, read this, they'd think it came from an algorithm. It's just so silly. Championship opportunity in the WWE universe and superstar and sports entertainment. It's garbage. It's so weird, and I wish it would stop. I really wish it would stop, but it's never going to stop. So.
I'm going to try and cut a promo this afternoon by using the auto text function on my iPhone. I'm going to start with championship opportunity or local medical facility and see where it goes from there.
See what happens after that. And I'm well aware that we've been sitting here going on about the ongoing global situation through all of this. So we got to acknowledge that, but if you know, you know.
Exactly.
Let's talk about something a little bit more positive. Vince McMahon is apparently a big fan of Otis. Which shouldn't surprise. That might not come as a huge surprise, because Otis is just the most lovable creature in the universe. I don't know how you can not enjoy that guy. He's an infectious ball of fun, and I adore him as much as Vince seemingly does. So this comes from... This is going to annoy people because we're mentioning Dave more than two times or whatever. Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Fire up your angry comments. We don't give a damn. He's got a larger write-up here, talking about the Mandy Rose storyline, talking about Andrea Listenberger, who was the writer that was released and was credited with the storyline. Dave notes that she put the promos together, certainly, and she had the reputation of being very good at her job, but most of the content likely came from Vince, and likely is still coming from Vince, because he's just a big fan of Otis. So it's nice hearing stuff like this. Otis is a joy. The Mandy Rose storyline has been really well told. Maybe the best kind of presented storyline from A to B to C to D on SmackDown at the moment. It's been really good stuff, and I like to hear this.
2 predictions from me going forward, finding out this news that Vince is a big fan of Otis. Number 1, especially considering how the ratings are going, we're probably going to get a live wedding on SmackDown, aren't we?
Yeah.
Because that's the way these things go, and weddings do numbers for WWE. Number 2, and I've been thinking this for a while, and now it's going to make more sense if Vince gets his grubby little fingers on this project. Otis might be the one who gets knocked off the roof on Sunday. Oh. I think he gets knocked off the top of WWE HQ. He's not killed or anything like that, but I can see them doing some sort of amnesia storyline where he forgets who he is and he forgets what food he likes, or he forgets he can do the caterpillar.
He thinks he's Tucker. I can see them doing that. I hope that meatball doesn't fall off the roof, because you got to protect that guy at all costs, man. But it could happen. It could happen.
Vince has been showing them how to take that bump, apparently.
Oh.
How? From 7 stories up? I've no idea, but if anyone can survive it, it's Vince. But speaking of particular favourites of WWE, Riddick Moss, we haven't seen him on TV since the end of March, I do believe. Last saw him getting pinned by R-Truth whilst out on a jog and dropping the 24/7 championship. But WWE apparently has not given up on him. Yet again, this is due thanks to Dave Meltzer on the Wrestling Observer newsletter. He's just been added to the list of wrestlers who've just sort of disappeared from TV without any explanation. And Meltzer, I think Dave's even given up here. He's just referred to this as the new normal. So God knows when he's going to come back. I mean, I quite like the brief glimpses we saw of him. He was kind of a little bit over-pushed, which it was arguably fans weren't angry at his push. It was the fact it was, at the expense of people like Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. But now they're the two fly crew. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with him when he comes back because, maybe he's not going to swirl around that prestigious 24/7 championship anymore.
Yeah, I like Riddick Moss. A lot of the lowness was surrounding the storyline and that rubbed off on him. But, I think he's got good charisma, he's got a good look, he's clearly very athletic, he runs the ropes like an absolute demon. We haven't seen enough of him in the ring to determine if he can pull it off in longer matches and stuff, but I liked what we saw of him so far. Maybe needs a mouthpiece, maybe, but here's hoping he makes it back soon. I thought he was an interesting little prospect. My
sources are telling me they've actually randomly employed Mick Jagger to go and look for Riddick Moss, but apparently a Rolling Stone gathers no moss, so...
Every day at this point, every day, send for the man. Let's talk ratings. Another topic that you guys just love. Wednesday Night Wars are in. Overall viewership, both shows were up. AEW took it in both departments, so 732,000 for AEW, 663,000 for NXT. In terms of the 18 to 49 demographic, to 49 demographic, AEW had a 0.28 rating, NXT 0.18. A total of 1.395 million people watched live pro wrestling on Wednesday night. That is the highest since the end of March, the 25th of March. That's good. The key takeaway from all of this is the main event slot, which was a one-sided hammering. It was a pounding, actually. AEW demolished NXT. It wasn't even close. They had more than double the amount of viewers for the street fight with Kenny Omega and Matt Hardy against the Les Sex Gods versus against Adam Cole and Velveteen Dream for the NXT Championship. In the 18 to 49 demo, more than double the viewership. That is a shellacking, but the rest of it's pretty even apart from the 18 to 49.
That's the figures, that's what they are. That's what I'm deciding I'm going to do going forward because we get told off regardless of what we say. If we try and defend the fact that more people have watched AEW than WWE, in WWE's corner we get called shills for them, and if we say, AEW beat NXT and they had a takeover quality show, then we get called shills for AEW. So those are the figures, make of them what you will. Yeah,
the thing is we could offer nothing subjective on this and people would still say the same. Brian Alvarez, all he does is tweet out a number, literally just a number with no colour every single week, 2 numbers, and people go, you're biased, Brian, for reporting this fact. It's mental. People have lost their minds. Just everybody. There's a lot going on in the world. This isn't that important. Chill out. Chill. Relax. Go outside. Look how lovely a day it is, man. Enjoy yourself. Do something more productive with your time, please.
Just going to point out, though, even though this is probably going to get me into trouble, only 200,000 off Monday Night Raw, the 2 combined numbers. So
yeah, there you go, baby.
Just saying. I'm just saying what numbers mean. Don't have a go at me. Right, let's talk about Kevin Owens. God, I can't wait for him to come back on TV, and it may be sooner than you think. In terms of his injury status, at least he, of course, suffered the injury during his match at WrestleMania 36 with Seth Rollins, an ankle injury. People were concerned whether it was a broken ankle, a sprained ankle. Well, apparently it's not all that serious, and he could be ready to go again within the next few weeks. This, once again, is courtesy of Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. God, I love Kevin Owens. I love his promos. I love his wrestling. I love everything about him. They even did a special, I do believe, last night on the network about him, and it made me love him even more. He's going to be back hopefully sooner rather than later. And as a man who sprained his ankle recently, get well soon, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Sprained ankles suck. They're just really unpleasant and awkward to deal with. I miss Kevin Owens. I want to see him back on TV soon, but not at the expense of his health, obviously. So
At least he suffered I assume he suffered the injury jumping off the WrestleMania sign, whereas I suffered it just being crap at football.
Been there, done that, brother, several times. Let's get to our last story here. Speaking of people who are crap at football, maybe, I don't know. Karrion Kross and Scarlett, they debuted on NXT.
I wouldn't say that about him.
Is he a former footballer? I'm terribly
sorry
if you are.
I watched what he did to that bloke on Wednesday, and it's been nice knowing you, Andy. Anyway,
yeah, Karrion Kross is going to Leon Ruff the piss out of me. Anyway, the entrance is kind of, the squash was really effective, but the entrance I think is what really got people talking in the aftermath, and the song and the lights and the smoke machines and all that stuff. Well, we got a little snippet here from Scarlett. Scarlett sung the song. That's why she was lip syncing when she came down. It's her voice. She tweeted that in response to someone on Twitter called Rambling Rabbit, not Rampant Rabbit, fortunately, replying, quote tweet saying, "It's my voice." So there you go. Scarlett sung the song for Karrion Kross.
I thought it was an amazing entrance, and I thought it really made you think, boy, this bloke's a big deal. And I hope they do big things with him in NXT because he's mint. So
yeah.
And
yeah.
Scarlett, I think Scarlett obviously being paired with him is a genius move as well.
Pairing them together is a no-brainer. They're so good together.
Exactly. Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions at WhatCulture WWE, of course, if you want to get in touch with us. First question today comes from Broken Ash, who says, we all want the Revolt versus the Young Bucks to happen in AEW ASAP, with a crowd, of course. However, the Revolt have named teams in other companies that they want to face. Should they have 2 or 3 matches to build their stock back up first?
It's a tough one. In a normal world, I think it'd be really cool if they did that and went on like a tour of places like the NWA and New Japan, but the world we're living in at the moment might make that very difficult because New Japan hasn't ran any single show through all of this and may not fire back up. Ring of Honor is the same. The NWA is the same. So it all depends, man, on when they're going to get back to work and when they need that paycheck, I think, unfortunately. I'd love to see them do a tour, but it might not be feasible because AEW is really the only viable option, unless they go to Impact and do the match with the North that they wanted to do, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's a real shame that the one time they're out of WWE and these potential dream matches could happen, they physically cannot happen because of, as you mentioned, the ongoing global situation. I'll tell you what would be interesting is if, after all this clears up, let's say they've signed with AEW, if AEW can allow them to go to places like Ring of Honor and New Japan, and we always talk about this working relationship between those guys, I think it'd be a great sort of trading chip, wasn't it? I mean, I'm not saying they should be utilised as a commodity, but just saying, oh yeah, New Japan, if you want to borrow the Revolt for a match or a month or whatever, maybe we can have this guy. I just want to see no one's going to do that with WWE, of course, and I mean, WWE's not going to do that with anyone else, but yeah, Ring of Honor, New Japan, AEW, sort of working relationship between all 3 of those would be amazing. Yeah,
it would, man. Talent share.
Hayley is the next question. It comes from her. Let's rearrange those words into an actual sentence. Saying, when things go back to normal, do you think if the first WWE pay-per-view back is a BC level show, they will book it, or present it as WrestleMania level extravagance? Will we see a stomping grounds with pyro that blows the roof off?
Stomping grounds in a 100,000-seater arena. I think that's it's actually something I'd like to see, as crazy as it would be to see great balls of fire on the moon or whatever. I think it's a route they might go down. They might have logistical issues because the the guideline to have fully attended shows might come on a couple of weeks' notice or a month's notice or something, and that would make it very difficult to plan and lay something like that out. But I would like to see it. I would love to see the first show back to just be this massive, ridiculous, over-the-top pantomime explosion, basically.
Yeah, I think if all wrestling, everyone's suffering right now, but wrestling fans are having a tough time of it with the product that we're watching just not being the same.
Yeah.
We will get through this, and then when wrestling comes back, my God, with so many different things that we didn't really appreciate at the time, crowd chants, wrestler entrances, like you say, just pyro in front of people with signs, and what about the Attitude Era? It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be a slow process. It's not going to go from empty arenas to 10,000 sold out immediately, but it is going to be a very exciting time. And I sense that when they get the proper green light of everything's good to go, you can sort of return exactly to normal as you were, it's going to be spectacular.
It's going to be awesome.
Edward Shiraz Hans gives us our final question of the day. Great question, this, Ed. Is AJ Styles going to turn into Kenny from South Park, where he's somehow killed every week, but he comes back either a week or so later?
Oh my God, they killed AJ really works. Oh God, yeah, he might, man. He just the man who no-sells death every single week. I am 100% here for that. Let's do it. Let's do it.
The phenomenal and immortal one, AJ Styles.
Was he in that stable in TNA Immortal? I think he was.
Fortune Immortal, yeah.
It all ties together, man. The connected universe. Kenny Styles, yes.
Right, let's move on to today's and finally, and absolutely no prizes for guessing what this is if you've been on Twitter in the last 12 hours or so. It is, of course, Mike Chioda, our favourite referee here at WhatCulture. Unfortunately, one of the releases involved in Black Wednesday, but he's got his own T-shirt up at Pro Wrestling Tees. It says Chioda, well, it's on screen now. It says Chioda the GOAT on it. ProWrestlingTees.com/Mike Chioda. Go and buy it. Go and support him. Mike, if you're seeing this, if anyone can tweet him, I am desperate. More so than I've ever been to interview someone, to interview Mike Chioda. Please flood his Twitter messages, letting him know that I want to interview him, because the stories he's got to tell.
Yeah, man, get him involved. Annoy the crap out of Mike Chioda until he blocks you if you have to. But we need him on the channel, man. We need him here.
Exactly. And yeah, go and as we said with all wrestlers who've not only suffered releases from WWE but are just struggling through this current situation with the fact that there's no bookings, go to Pro Wrestling Tees, go to wherever the guys are selling their merch. Whatever way you can support them, please do, because they are toughing it out through this really tough period, as we all are, Andy.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Everyone needs... If you've got a little change in your back pocket and you can afford to support these people, it would be great if you could.
Exactly. Right, let us know your thoughts on that and all of today's news stories in the comment section below. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts. We've got Wrestle Culture later on today, previewing Money in the Bank, and live 4 p.m. BST here on YouTube. Myself, Phil Chambers and Michael Hamflett will be previewing the SmackDown Go Home show ahead of Money in the Bank, dealing with any breaking news and, of course, answering your burning questions. Plus, you can let us know your thoughts on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Whilst you're there, follow both of us. You can follow Andy at
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for hay fever tablets. Take them if you need to.
Bollocks, I need to take mine for today. Follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. My thanks to Andy Murray. Thanks to you for watching. Hi, Mike Chioda, and we will see you soon.